when you see it.
Well, hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Maconi Entertainment, and welcome to the Friday Night Lights series here for the Xfinity Series. This is the Bristol round coming to you tonight here on Maconi Entertainment. My name is Ron Mullins, and alongside me, working the comms and the cams for today's broadcast, is Howie Burrows. This is going to be some fun. We have a pretty lengthy race in front of you all here this evening at the last great Coliseum, Bristol Motor Speedway, a wonderful motorsports facility. This concrete bowl that used to be made out of asphalt is one of the most threatening tracks in the world of NASCAR. I have a feeling we're in for some fun here this evening. There's a track information opened back in 1961, and we're in for a good one here, Howie. I'm really looking forward to it.
Bristol does nothing but terrify me. I can't crack 20 laps around here, and we're about to go for 300. These Xfinity cars are like nothing else in stock car racing. They're among my absolute favourites. Very slippy and very difficult to handle. Very, very vulnerable to a little bit of rattling of their cages as well. 300 laps of this with 2 stages in play. It's going to be a long, grueling race. Any of those who can make it to the end have really earned their stripes.
Yeah, that is a very good point to raise there, Howie. It is going to be a tough race for these drivers up and down the grid. This half-mile bowl is a circuit that can catch out many, many drivers. I have a feeling we're going to see many drivers get caught out by the challenge here today. May see some track blockers. Certainly probably going to see some yellows. Well, we will be seeing some yellows with the stage breaks to talk about later on in this 300-lap race, but more about that in a couple of moments. Currently in this warm-up session, about 2 minutes left to go on the clock, and here is the information. Stages at lap 85 and lap 170. You have 5 tires. That's a lot to these drivers in this 300-lap race we have coming up. 17X is the DQ limit for incident points, very similar to the full-length Cup Challenge organized by the same folks that are organizing this series that you see here on Maconi Entertainment here tonight. Bit of a last-minute show, but hopefully all of you tuning into this broadcast will enjoy tonight's action. This Friday Night Light series with these Xfinity cars. I mean, Xfinity cars in real life always put on some pretty good racing. Some would probably say it's better than the Cup Series racing action. I think we're in for a darn good race.
Well, these are a very classic stock car. Very much so, unlike sort of sports car pedigree that you see the modern NASCAR Cup cars really go behind. It's an absolute joy to drive, and it's a terrifying one to do around here, especially in the day conditions of the early Bristol race rather than the 500 later on in the season. Only about a minute to go on the warm-up. Show the driver standings very quickly. Playoff system in line as ever, and after Darlington, 5 drivers are locked into the playoffs. Lots of time to go to really settle places, but drivers like Tanner Marty, Eric Wineland, John Kelly, Tim Phillips, and Matthew Boston Wheeler are going to try and want to pick up as many points as they can. There's still so much to play for. We're about to start our gridding process for these drivers. We've got a very, very big grid today. Lots to get through. They just handled their qualifying before this warm-up. I was on board with the driver meeting, and there was a lot of talk about cautions and the way cautions are going to play out here. But outside that, it's going to be some fast-running, tire-burning action on the grid today.
That's a pretty good way to describe it there, Howie. Fast-running, tire-burning racing action. We're going to be melting these tires down to the ground. And it's going to be a pretty fun one, but the checkered flag out in this warm-up session. Next time we're going to be seeing a checkered flag is probably going to be in a couple of hours' time, so hopefully all of you enjoy this race here tonight. Let's take a look at the starting grid. It's going to be the number 97 car of Lucas Hoytsma starting this race from the pole. One of our Maconi Entertainment colleagues, Kirk Mills, in the number 69 nice car will start in P2. Looking at the second row, it's comprised of Cameron Stone in the 57 and Mark Paget in the 02. Starting right behind them in 5th and 6th, it is going to be Joseph McWhorter in the number 73 car and Noah Woods in the 68. That's how it looks like on the third row. Here's the fourth row, which is made up by Hunter Truel in the 71 car and Cody Bird in the lucky number 13 Taco Bell car, hoping not to get his bell rung in this race coming up. Kyler Amon will start in 9th in the number 17 machine, with Austin Evie rounding out our top 10.
Plenty more back here, so I'm going to try and run this quickly. We've got Matthew Boston Wheeler, Bryson Hickson-Barr in 11 and 12, Jim Schofield in 13 with Jordan Person 14 behind Cody Goza Michael Patrick, Cliff Mullins, and Steve Benjamin. Eric Wineland and Joe Rollins. Still another more than 10 to go here. Tanner Marty, John Kelly, Carlos Fonseca, Jeremy Platinum do also these drivers didn't set their qualifying lap. Jason Taylor, Tim Phillips, Daniel Lewallen and Dave Hotzemer. Almost done. Brian Workman, and don't ask how I got there. We all make mistakes.
Yeah, it happens to the best of us, Howie. Don't worry about that. It's something I've done, so I have absolutely zero room to judge. But just because I have zero room to judge doesn't mean I will not anyway. So, haha, there we go. But this is going to be a fun race we have coming up. 300 laps, boatload of challenge, 2-stage cautions thrown into it as well. It's going to be a race of attrition and a race to see who can just make it to that checkered flag.
I think it's going to start chaotic, and we're going to go through a bit of a phase of chaos, and then it might die down just a little bit as we start approaching the end. The long run start playing out. Getting this many cars on the pack is all on the grid. It's always a supreme challenge. Running the single pit road and trying to fit 31 cars onto it. Nothing quite like it. We have just one to go here, and the pace cars ready to pull into the pit stop.
Yeah, and the single pit lane configuration here at Bristol, which we're certainly going to be talking about come time for the pit stops in this race. But that pace car making the turn to come down pit lane, the field now in the hands of our pole sitters. A green flag is out, and the drivers are on their way, heading down that start-finish straightaway, off into turn number 1 and 2. Again, ready to start off a massively long race for these drivers. One that's going to have a boatload of challenge. You can see they're already single filing out, trying to get this race into a groove as quickly as we possibly can. Howie, we are a part of the full-length Cup Challenge broadcast a couple of weeks ago at Martinsville, and that race was a bit of a fever dream for us on the broadcast, and a one that these drivers will look to try and forget, at least when it comes to the full-length Cup Challenge drivers. Lots of yellows throughout that race, so I think they're going to look to try and avoid that at all costs here at Bristol for the Xfinity.
I think if you say its name again, you might unleash a horrible curse upon us all. We're already off to a much better start today.
The boogeyman.
Single file running on only drivers from 3 and 4. Cameron Stone, Joseph McWhorter look like they're having trouble. That's the 57 of Cameron Stone. He's gone very wobbly and very wide. He's going to lose quite a few more this early. Long race ahead. We don't want to slide anything.
Yeah, don't want to lose out on anything in the early stages. Want to make hay while the sun is shining. Still early on into this race. This field packed together still. This is the time to go for the moves, but it's also the time that we're probably going to see the most amount of chaos in this race. And probably the most amount of sketchy moments, too. But hey, knowing my luck, I probably just jinxed it. And we're going to be seeing this early stage of this race be rather smooth. And I wouldn't say formulaic, but it's certainly going to be what these drivers hope to have as a clean of a start as we can possibly get. Lucas Hoytsma still in the race lead. Kirk Mills in the number 69 car trying to get a move done down the inside, though. Here we go, side by side, off into 3 and 4. As this got to work out, will we see Mills take the race leader? Is Hoytsma just going to have that momentum on the outside? Yes, he does. Pulls back in front of the number 69 car to hold on to the race lead.
So much of this race is going to be running your own race, running your own lines, and trying not to get too much in your head. And I was about to praise these drivers for not doing too much battling, and then they start doing it on the spot. That 69 Kurt Mills going very, very wide. There is some multi-groove racing here, and the marbles haven't quite built up yet, but I wonder if the wall is the right place to be to start. He has made a good run with it, though, and that's some good speed going down the front stretch, going too wide behind. He's well and truly cleared it now. Kurt Mills might have just made the play for the lead quite early. He's still running that top.
Yeah, Kirk Mills seeming to gravitate towards that outside barrier. We're probably going to have him as an in-race reporter all throughout this, one of our Maconi Entertainment colleagues, and we can see him in the motor coach lot right now as he's still in the heat of battle at the front of this field. I feel like it'd probably be a bad time to bring him in right now. I remember playing the in-race reporter role for a different, much different race. It was a Radical SR10 race at Sebring, and I mean, granted, in that situation, I was not battling for the race when I was basically running all by myself. So probably not the best call to drag in the driver of the number 69 car as he looks to extend that gap between himself and Joseph McWhorter. That 3/4 of a second between those two racers as it stands presently, as your 1-point race leader of Lucas Hoytsma feeling a lot of pressure literally and figuratively from Hunter Truel on the 71.
Well, earlier today I did a race of my own where some drivers asked for green flag interviews. I would never be cool enough to force them into that situation. Here's Hunter Thrill on the outside. Outside seems to be fast already. There's been a lot of driving in the warm-up and the qualifying, and that's another pass made on the outside. Up ahead, up further behind even. That's Cameron Stone, and no words Cameron Stone. He's had the better on the inside this time around. Noah Woods going quite wide. He's going to get back into line. Most drivers minding their own business, keeping their car to themselves and only making a few passes, but we're already seeing people dedicate themselves to that top line.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about this before the drop of the green flag, talking about what sort of lines these drivers are going to be running. Some maybe feeling a bit more confident, hugging that apron and running right by the yellow line on the bottom end of the circuit. Others maybe deciding to rip the wall up there at the top. There's many different lines you can run around here at Bristol, but at the end of the day, it's all about your own personal preference and how your race car is running. If you're confident running the bottom, you probably don't want to experiment running on the top line, because that's usually the spot where things can go desperately wrong. It's like a science experiment. If you feel comfortable in doing it, you're fine. If you don't feel comfortable, it's probably not a good idea to push your comfort zones, as we were following Jordan Person a couple of moments ago, getting some moves done. I believe he just put a move done on Cody Goza in the number 96, and I think I saw this just barely on the back of Goza's car. I think the Toyota badge on that was ever so slightly, it was like turned like 50 degrees or something like that. It looked mildly crooked. I think that's what I saw.
I've seen some very strange designs before. One of my favorites is the Ford Toyota. You just put like the Ford Mustang lights on the back of the Supra.
Oh.
I've seen some cursed stuff. I've seen some like unusual sort of cars. There was Throwback Week last week. We obviously weren't quite around to see it. Drivers aren't running, but they're much more traditional designs at the moment. Although I do like that Dale Jr. 03. He even got his league number for it. Lots of moving in the middle of this pack. The on-board was really catching as a bit of a traffic jam. It's really locked up. And it's Matthew Boston Wheeler sits here. Then there's Cody Bird, and then a massive gap ahead. Cameron Stone is 1.5 seconds down the line already. So this pack is kind of slowing themselves down in this long race.
As we see the side-by-side racing going on a little bit farther towards the front of this field. That right there you can see is a Taco Bell car, hoping not to get its bell rung. Yes, I will continue to make that pun between now and the end of this show. Do I feel shame? Well, only time will tell. Some racing going on involving the number 57 and number 97. That's Cameron Stone running in front of Lucas Hoytsma. Hoytsma started from the pole in that Busch beer machine. That, I think, is a holdover from Throwback Week, because that is an old-school looking race car. Pretty nice looking paint scheme, though, I gotta say.
Still too wide. Rows behind. These guys just will not stop fighting in their melee. I guess when you're in the middle, you sort of have no choice. You don't get to really run away without running into more cars. You don't have to keep the pace up because there's people behind you trying to pressure you as well. Like, this is sort of the dog pound. This is where you really don't want to be if you're trying to save your stuff in this long race. Cody Bird and Wineland still having some little contact as they go side by side, keeping it together. And take one more look up at the front of the grid. Kirk Mills is top 3. Mostly minding their own business. In fact, a lot of these drivers are minding their own business all the way back to that battle.
Yeah, the drivers at the north end of the field deciding to settle down. These two racers not really settling down, though. That is a battle involving Jordan Person and Matthew Boston Wheeler. We mentioned in reference to the points situation. Obviously, still early doors into this season, but gotta start thinking about that playoff bubble, and Matthew Boston Wheeler finds himself right towards the tail end of those standings, and is not in the playoffs at the present moment on points. Obviously, a win would help out his cause a lot, as that's a nudge and a bump from Person to the back of the number 17 car of Kyler Amon. That's not going to please Amon one bit. He now finds himself in the midst of a hornet's nest. Matthew Boston Wheeler and Jim Schofield side by side right behind him. He is going to try and get back to the 14, because that was a little bit aggressive for a move. Only 31 laps since his 300 lap long race.
Well, that is stock car racing, but also that is the sort of thing that's going to scare someone, and this early in the race is probably going to annoy them quite a bit. He got away with it that time. That's a nice subtle move. But, you know, you go 1 inch over the line in the other direction and someone's going backwards and we're ending in tears. Only 17x on the disqualification in this race, much like the Full Late Cup Challenge, which proved to be a big problem at Martinsville. I think these drivers are going to get away with it a lot better given their track record so far. Everyone's been running very cleanly and very nicely, but it's unusually harsh for many Stock Car Series. They do it in order to make sure that field behaves themselves. They are behaving themselves today, even with some of this too wide racing. I saw Cody Bird almost try and throw it to the outside. He just about recovers it in time and chooses not to make the dive of the century.
I'm going to refrain from mentioning anything about this field keeping it clean, because knowing my luck, I would probably jinx it and we'd see a driver end up in the catch fence. So I'm going to be keeping tight-lipped about that whole situation and just talk about this side-by-side racing that may be flaring up between Matthew Boston Wheeler and Eric Wineland. Going back to the point that I was going to raise before we saw the nudge to Kyle Amon from Jordan Person, talking about the point situation with that playoff bubble. Matthew Boston Wheeler is looking for a good point save. Finds himself in 11th at the present moment. These drivers are going to have to start to worry about that. Getting wins is obviously important, but getting some nice points certainly doesn't hurt your chances either.
Well, it is a very long season. We're on round... I need to start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're on round 9. And I see 2 more full columns of races before you make those playoffs. Quite a breezy sort of 7-race format at the very end. So lots of time, but it is win and you're in. Very much like to win and very much like to end up in. Much like Kirk Mills is up in front though. We've seen him under pressure once or twice as that's Hunter Trill in the wall. Our first driver's eating the wall. He's getting away with it for now, but there's a lot going on in this grid. You know, it's possible to catch all of it, and I bet there's a few drivers not getting away with it.
Yeah, these drivers are going to have to run a dangerous game all throughout tonight's race and dance with the devil, for lack of a better term. That is the strategy these drivers are going to have to try and implement to try and get the most amount of performance that they can out of their race car. Kyle Amon, after that moment involving himself and Jordan Person, has dropped down like an anvil push out of a helicopter. Finds himself in 10th at the present moment, which isn't too bad, but he's still side by side with himself and Eric Wineland. In the number 87 car, contact being made, heading out of 3 and 4. They keep it going in a straight line, but that is a code brand moment if ever you see one.
We're getting more and more antsy already. We're only 10% of the way through the race. You can't do this to us. You can't scare us. One day one of these is going to end badly. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of commotion out of 13 in the back of the 87. Now he's sort of bumping up like a snooker ball. I feel like we're just getting away with things. We're just getting away with things and holding on for dear life. Further ahead, Mark Haddon almost had to pass around Lucas Hoytsma. It's almost impossible to really work out what to catch next on this field. There's just so much movement. So many passes, so many little to and fros, and probably a lot of contact that we're never going to catch.
Yeah, there is so much stuff to keep tabs on all throughout this. I gotta say, Howie, credit where credit is due to you being able to commentate this race and produce it at the same time. That gotta be like a chameleon looking about 16 different things at once with all the racing action that's gonna be going on around here. We just need like one singular, like fixed, like a satellite camera just focusing on Bristol, seeing a bunch of marching ants go around. I feel like the only problem with having a camera at like, I don't know, like 32,000 feet would be probably wouldn't be able to make out the car number, so we just have to say, oh yeah, here's some side-by-side racing going on. Not sure who it is, but it is cars going side-by-side, which is certainly going to be a rather common sight throughout this race here this evening. Some side-by-side racing going on involving Boston Wheeler. I can see into that car on the bottom line. This race will not cool off, I think, until we have that first yellow flag, which is coming up in the not too far off future. Lap 85 is the end of this first stage and just ticking over lap 50 now.
But once it's not a commentator's curse, it's actually predestined. You're very, very right, though. We are crawling up to that point very, very quickly. There are stage points associated with your finishing position up here, so you want to take everything you can get up at the front. Looks like Cameron Stone really challenged McWhorter for a bit. I don't know if we're running into lap traffic already, and that's starting to make some of this lapping of the track a lot trickier. You get in your way quick. You think 300 laps is going to be an eternity, but if it stays green, this track is just simply too fast.
Yeah, this track is incredibly quick. If it was 300 laps around like the Nürburgring Nordschleife, then I would probably fully prepare to have my beard grow gray by the end of this broadcast. But no, instead, we're here at Bristol. These laps are going to be quick. It's just lap after lap after lap after lap, continuing on around this track. And considering that I was going to say, considering in the first 55-ish laps we have been caution-free, I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch just yet. We've been clean, though, at the start of this race. And right on cue, we're going to have a driver hit the sand barrels. It's been good, though, up to this point. Some good racing going on all throughout this field. Kirk Mills, who was feeling a bit of pressure from Joseph McWhorter earlier on. He's now shaken that challenge off like a bad case of fleas. Finds himself in the lead at the present moment with a 1 second gap between himself and Hunter Truex. That's a good gap for the driver of the 69 car.
1 second, he loves to see it. He really is running away, and that definitely is lap traffic showing up now. It's an absolute madhouse on the track, and it's so easy to just start running into these cars that are laps down and just trying to keep track of who's actually where on the track and who's passing whose position starts to become an absolute nightmare. But we see drivers transition to the top now, trying to just get the most out of their tyres before they're eventually forced into stopping. Drivers tried to preserve their stuff on the bottom for a while. Kirk Mills made that top work really, really well, though. I think more and more drivers are finding the grip up there. The grip on this track changes just constantly. This is one where you have to find the line that's going to work for you. You have to find what you're going to enjoy running more. And so we're seeing a lot of adaptation, but I've been seeing these drivers grip up and up as it goes on.
As we continue to go throughout this race, should be noted we are now officially a sixth of the way through this race already, so whittling those laps away slowly but surely, getting through it at the present moment. These drivers still running nose to tail and side by side all throughout this field. It's vacuum sealed together regardless, even though the gap has ballooned at the front of the field. Less than a second between P1 and P2, 60 laps into a race. You'd be hard-pressed to find that just about anywhere, but there's a yellow flag, and this is not for the stage break. It's for a crash. You can see a big puff of smoke hang down that start-finish straightaway. The 03 may have gotten a piece of that, and that, I think, is a car that got involved in that. It may be Joseph McWhorter in the number 73 car. He was running solidly inside the top three. At one point was running for second, battling with Kirk Mills for the race lead, but things have gone from bad to worse for the driver of the 73 car. What's happened here?
I'll see if this one catches it. We might go back just a little bit of time. That Jumbotron, I gotta say, is like the bane of my existence. It's just, it's there, and there's nothing you can do to even look at this track in a way that is not going to get obscured by it. This is going to be quite a quick caution, but they are being all extended by it 1 lap on the track today. Running very, very high, and then drops it a little low, and that's going to be the trigger of the caution. Bit of unpleasant damage. Yeah. Could buff out, though.
And that right there was Cameron Stone, the number 57 car, getting a piece of that action as well. That was a rather messy collision. But here we go. The pit stops now officially starting. This is going to give the race lead back to Lucas Hoytsma. But in all of this, I wonder how this field is going to get shaken up as a result of these pit stops. Going to have some split strategies to worry about. Some drivers deciding to come in now instead of at the stage caution. And Howie, I wonder what do you think about the strategy call from these drivers coming into the pits now?
I don't know what I'd do. I'm bad enough at saving tyres. I'd almost want to stop on every caution. Drivers only have 5 sets available, though. The field is being split. Most drivers have decided to make this the pit stop, and they have to run all the way through the backstretch pit lane in order to get to the front stretch one. Off pit road, 69 of Kirk Mills is going to get a good run. He's going to win the battle off. Then there's 3 drivers on older rubber up ahead. I'm afraid this restart, I'm worried it's going to be an absolute dog pound for them. I'm kind of scared that they could get eaten alive.
Yeah, I have a feeling we may end up seeing some stacking up on this restart coming up. Some drivers on new tires and some others on incredibly old tires, which are around this racetrack. Let's face it, it's made out of concrete. It is not a very smooth racetrack, if we are being completely honest. So this concrete surface going to act like a bit of a cheese grater onto these tires. Insert the Larry McReynolds clip here, but because of that being said, on this restart, we're going to see some drivers take off like a rocket. Others, they're probably going to more resemble a dog running on a freshly polished wood floor or declawed cat trying to climb up an igloo. Either way, no matter how you judge it, I think we are going to see a huge speed disparity once that green flag comes back at.
Running one extra pit stop lap just to make sure everybody catches the back. You never really know how quick these caution laps fly by. I just came off just running, an open at Daytona, and a pace lap there feels like it takes your entire life away from you. Whereas over here, a quick caution is such a quick one and done. With the lights now off, we are ready to go. One to green. So that's 3 drivers on the front row, and the inside 17 on old tires. Everyone else on new. I almost don't want to look. Unfortunately, it is my job to look. How are they going to hold up? It's going to be a real sprint race, fewer than 10 laps.
Yeah, this is going to be a full-on run to that stage caution. The green flag back at the drivers back on their way. Hoytsma getting off to a flyer on that inside line. That was an incredible restart from him. Some side-by-side racing going on right behind him. Kirk Mills in the number 69 car. Want to keep tabs on him and how he manages his field. He got jumped by Hunter Truewill for sure, but finds himself in 4th at the present moment. That number 69 car seems to be fast, but he's finding himself in a spot that he's not very familiar with, having to run the bottom at this early stage of this restart, and let's see how he's going to be feeling comfortable in all that. Hunter Truewill, my apologies, getting the move done. Harry is his cousin, getting that move done around the outside, heading off through 1 and 2 right now, and it looks like Mills is going to follow to try and displace Lucas Hoytsma back down to P3.
Hoytsma's done a great job holding on longer than the rest. We see Mark Padgett's dropped all the way down to 10th. Carl Amon's gone down to 7th, whereas Hoytsma held on for a while. He had a really, really good launch. Now his time is over. Only 5 laps he has to hold on for. Maybe this could have been beneficial in the long run, but now it's the sprint at the front. In the panic and in the traffic, Kirk Mills got jumped just in time for the stage break. He's going to have to do a heroic chase in order to try and save this stage for him and get himself a stage win. Hoytsma still holding up drivers here.
Yes, still seeing these drivers get stacked up a little bit between other bits of cars. The split strategies clearly starting to mess with the pace that some of these drivers have. If you have a quick car, that's fine, but if you're stuck behind someone who's a little bit on the slower end, you're not going to be able to stretch your legs out at all. Hoytsma dropping down like a rock. Let's see if John Kelly's going to maybe put a move on him, heading down into 3 and 4 right now. Looks like they're not going to be going side by side right there. I was actually correct. That was 3 and 4. Well done to me. But still side by side racing going on. It looks like that'll be a move from Kelly on Hoytsma to slip his way up into P7. Now about 10 laps away from the end of this first stage. 85 laps of drama. Only 1 yellow in all of it, which considering it's Bristol, you're probably expecting a bit more drama. But hey, it's Bristol, baby. The racing gods can giveth and they can taketh away. Hunter Truewill and Kirk Mills going to give us a good battle to talk about for the end of this stage and trying to grab that stage win. They're covered by about a quarter of a second with Truewill in front and Mills right behind. They got some lap traffic to worry about though as well.
Hours of lap traffic come up already, and you're very right. It is 85 and not 75. Certainly a bit of a longer run, and now I know the numbers. It's starting to look like a really bad idea to stay out. Hoytsma, our fastest driver, staying out now 12th, and he's actually got 10 more laps to hold on to, not fewer. I think Kirk Mills, even though his gap has subsided, is willing to try and make this happen. Behind, we have Persson and Wineland running side by side. That outside seems to be very fast for Persson, and he's very much enjoying. Kirk Mills has dropped back a bit, but it's going to be all about that lap traffic and how that affects the complexion of this finish. There's very little time to go. This is the sort of position it's not worth ending your race over, but it's certainly going to be a lot of fun to try and get if you can.
Oh, and you can see that is not an ideal moment for Hunter True. Look at that, the dive from Mills. Gonna try and get it done on the inside. That's not gonna be the right strategy at all. Heading off into 3 and 4. Still trying to pick their way through the smoke and these lap down cars. Mills, yeah, I think he's in the catbird seat, really. True, that number 71 car having to worry about traffic, and around a track like this where you see these drivers fan out, either running on the inside, the outside, or the middle, having to pick your way through all sorts of different cars. The best way I could probably describe it is it's like trying to pick up antimatter with chopsticks. You can't really do it. It's super tough. And oh, look at that from Mills, catching up to the number 99 car right in front of him. Absolutely nowhere that he could go to try and avoid that getting checked up a little bit. I think this is going to come the way of True unless he has a big checkup between now and the end of this stage. The white flag going to be out in the air for stage 1, but look at that, getting a little bit sideways coming out of there to take the white was True. He called out a little bit. Mills caught up. That's not going to be enough at the end of all of this. True heading his way through 3 and 4 right now. He's going to grab the stage 1 victory. There it is for True. He is victorious in this first stage.
He gets one
let's
more.
see. Oh yeah. Let's see. Or maybe. Yeah, I don't think. There we go. I think they're waiting, as they usually do in real life, for the entirety of the top 10 to cross the line. And there's a moment for Jim Shoefield at the end of this first stage. So that could have been the reason why the yellow eventually came out. But regardless, Hunter True is your winner at the end of this first stage here tonight.
We can get results for the race so far. Here's on board with Schofield. While that happened, I wonder if that got triggered just half a lap early. 'Cause usually at the end of these laps. Oh, a bit of a spin and a bit of a loss. Hunter True wins over Kurt Mills, Eric Wineland, Jordan Person, Grayson Hickson, Simba, and Austin Avely. Lots more drivers on the grid, but I'm saying it as if the race is over. There's so much more to go, and that was just the first chapter.
Yeah, we haven't even hit a third of the way through this race, and we've had a lot of drama up to it. Some drivers getting involved in a little bit of trouble, not really as much as you may have expected around a race here at Bristol, but in the midst of all that, we saw some fantastic battling for the race win, and some split strategies as well. That's now continuing as some of those drivers who stayed out are now coming down into the pits to put some brand new Goodyears on those race cars. 87 laps completed of 300, so a lot of racing left to go and a lot left to be decided. We haven't even started to think about how it's going to shake out at the end of this second stage that we are now in the midst of, let alone the finish. Still so much left to go.
Well, a few drivers here getting it topped off. Now might be a good time to take another set. Don't think you're going to need it. It's a bit bold, but you're going to run very, very fast. And we've seen that drivers have made passing work around here. It has not just been a single groove catastrophe. Drivers have been really moving and hustling around each other. It looks like Hoytsma is... Somebody has said Hoytsma's going to be the fastest. I don't think he is. It's hard to tell who's on the lead lap right now, so I just need to keep clicking through people and try and work out quite where it goes up to. Woods back at this with 68, and then now it starts to make sense. Hunter True leads the field. No move up from the top, but just looking at these stats, looks like the top 11 didn't stop. They're going to have 26 lap old tyres on the green. Everyone behind has stopped, so starting with Jordan Person back.
And I am really wondering, as we're racking them up and maybe going to get this race restarted here in a couple of laps time, barring any sort of extension, which are usually rather common here at Bristol, if we are being completely honest. I gotta wonder if this second stage is going to be a bit more caution-packed than that first one. What you see from time to time is, okay, yeah, stage 1, totally calm, totally fine, totally normal at all. And then you go into another stage, and then it is pure unbridled pandemonium, the sort of chaos that you'd see in the parking lot of a Target when the flat screen TVs are on discount on Black Friday. That's the sort of chaos that you can see from time to time. Keeping our fingers crossed that we won't see something like that, but hey, I've seen Stranger Things. I'm not talking about the show on Netflix. Waiting for this race to get restarted here in a few moments' time. The front row going to be made up of Hunter True and Kirk Mills. Eric Wineland will restart this race, I should say, in in P3, pretty long ways from the start. Bryson Hicksonball, who already has 3 wins up to this point here in the season in the number 63 machine, will be restarting it all in P4. Gotta keep an eye on him. Already has 3 wins up to this point, the most wins out of anybody thus far. So if anyone's going to be able to mount a challenge on some of those front 2, it's probably going to be hitting the green flag back out. Yet again, a good restart for the inside line. That's True getting an early jump on Kirk Mills. Some side-by-side racing maybe going to flare up between Wineland and Hicksball. It looked like he was going to go for the move, but Hicksonball backing out of it, remaining in fourth. Some side-by-side racing going on right behind, though.
Nice clean launch of everybody again. People aren't getting too ridiculous trying to jump each other on the starts and force chaos. But I gotta say, to me, it sounds like you're asking for it. I mean, you're asking for some bad stuff to kick off. You're basically begging. Tell us how you really feel. Tell us how you really feel, Ron. You want it? You can have it. It can be fun. It can be a joy. But sometimes racing can also be good. I'm not sure which camp I'm in yet. So, you know, I might end up getting converted over. Right now, it has just been exciting bumper to bumper. Further back here, drivers are already taking up all 3 groups again. I guess that group doesn't go anywhere. In fact, it only gets better, but drivers are like Hoytsma are going to have to try and keep it out of the wall.
And I gotta say, honestly, here, Howie, I think there's a halfway compromise that we can reach in terms of all of this. I may want to see some drama. I guess I am kind of asking for it. I like the racing action that we have going on right now, but if I am asking for drama, let's have a car strike that Jumbotron on the inside, because I know you're not a fan of that. So we'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone in that regard. Or as Peter would want us to say a couple of years ago, feed 2 birds with 1 scone, which always rolls off the tongue like rich gooey molasses.
I mean, like, I know I'm British, but we don't need to say scone, okay? We just don't. We just don't. It's too late for that. Too late for that. It's 2 a.m. I made it here for Bristol. Worth it. Hell yeah, brother.
Support the troops and God bless America. I should do this broadcast with a southern accent for the rest of it. No, that was absolutely terrible. I apologize. See, as a close to New Englander, I'm from the city of Philadelphia, which is not technically New England, but it is close enough whereby it's not really the mid-Atlantic region of the U.S. I feel like me doing a southern accent would be like nails on a chalkboard, so I think I'm going to refrain from doing anything like that between now and the end of the show and just stick to talking about the racing action, where we've got a battle going on involving Hunter Truel and Kirk Mills. Kirk Mills running back on that outside line now, third of the way through this race, swapping sides so into 3 and 4, going for the dive on the inside line on Truel. Truel going to have that momentum heading back onto that start finish straight away to remain in the race lead, but Kirk Mills starting to experiment a bit in the 69 machine.
I'm still not seeing that inside really work. I'm seeing the outside start good and get better, and every driver that attacks or defends there seems to just be getting the best of it. I want to see how this track continues to evolve, but I wonder if it's just going to keep getting higher and higher and higher, that best line, until we're hugging the top so hard we're going to make Darlington lines all over the walls. Right, these things aren't totally staying. Kirk Mills now has good pace on an outside line, good momentum, not clear yet. Now he is quickly and easily done to reclaim the lead.
And it's Kirk Mills back up at the front. Truel still slipped into P2. Wineland, Bryson Hicksball, and Cody Bird riding out of top 5 as it stands at the present moment. The last car in the top 10 is the Arc 1-point race leader of Lucas Hoytsma. Things have not gone well for him ever since he got relegated out of P1. He's dropped down quite a lot. So that number 97 car, quick and clean air, but in dirty air, he seems to drop back a little bit. Maybe on the hard challenge going back up the field, though. Currently all over the back of the 06 of Matthew Boston Wheeler.
Yeah, look out for Person and Hoytsma. They may have lost out on that first stage, but now their tyres are more than 20 laps fresher. And I think we're going to start seeing that pay dividends very, very soon. I think they do have the pace up ahead. We're almost ready to get ready to cause a 3-car collision up here. Person is the other driver, the 14 car running in the blue and purple on the newer tyres, and I think there is a pace gap if you can get past people, and I think they may have been playing 4D chess. They may have now set up their scheme, set up their plan, and they're going to get ready to start moving. These tyres are only going to get worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, these tires, they're getting to the end of that cliff, and they're slowly but surely going to drop down it. And once that starts to happen, we're going to see these cars both sliding around the track like madmen. That is going to be a rather interesting sight. Will also be probably the time that we see another caution come out in this race if anyone gets a little bit tripped up coming out of these corners. And right as I say that, that's a 71 car of Hunter Truel in the wall, stopped on the outside. That was a big whack into the outside wall, I suspect. Let's see what happens.
I wonder if he did this to himself, whether it involved the 87. 87's definitely quite close to his rear. Got the count here. This wall, Jumbotron, don't do this. Jumbotron said his car just did that. You know, like we get no like truth to the investigation. Let's pick one more angle and play rewind time on that. And if the Jumbotron gets my way one more time, I will petition to get it torn down. Straight off the top.
Yep, that was a punt.
On the back by the 87, and that's the spin. Good that people are at least staying out of the way.
Yeah, that right there was certainly a nudge, had some assistance in that spin. And I think after that first replay... Now you may have to get in contact with Wineland to see if he can pull off a similar maneuver to the Jumbotron around here.
As John Kelly has been assigned an end-of-line penalty. Sent back there. I'm not sure if that's to do with the caution or whether it was even requested. I have to try and find him on the field, the 04. There's so many numbers here. My head is spinning. We have drivers hitting up pit road as well. We're getting some very variable strategies here. Some of these drivers have been out here for the whole 40. Some have only been here for 20. They're getting another set done already. 5 sets sounds like a lot, but if you're burning through 2 by this stage, then I'd start to be worried a bit about your longevity for the rest of this race.
Yeah, we do have limited sets of tires for these racers. If we could pop that graphic up yet again to remind the viewers how many tires these drivers are allocated from the start to the finish of this 300-lap long race. They don't have unlimited tires, only 5 sets. So if you're already on your 3rd, despite the fact that we're still about 37 laps away from the halfway mark of this race, you are not going to be smelling like a bed of roses. That is not a good way to get it all kicked off.
Yeah, there's this fine line between, like, I have all the tires, I need to use all the tires. That's not terribly wrong. You know, you lose everything you don't use. But there's also that line between that and the game of, well, I can just change every time I feel like. Looking at the tires on the field, let's just give a quick rundown. Kirk Mills is running 49 laps. Jordan Person is running 25. Then it's 49, 25, 25, 50, 50, 26. And then from 9 backwards, it's all fresh tyres. I'll get those numbers up on the screen for you, but it's a very variable field in terms of tyre length. And that, I think, is going to cause some real chaos. This could be a cautions breed cautions.
Yeah, potentially. I think the shout that I had earlier on talking about how we're going to have this race with a clean stage 1 and a rather hectic stage 2, and for the final stage running up to the checkered flag, may just have some sort of like half and half version of it in the final 125 laps. Who knows? Only time will tell, pulling out all the phrases, because there's going to be a total disparity in how these drivers' races go. I kind of like having that added strategy of having to worry about limited sets of tires for these drivers. You have to take it a little bit easy and go from there in an event like this. Don't want to burn up your rubber too quickly, otherwise come time for the end of it, you're basically going to have to run the Fred Flintstone mobile and have stone wheels on your car, or maybe potentially ransack some of the pit boxes here at Bristol and steal some of the satellite dishes off the top of the pit stalls. That could be something interesting, seeing an Xfinity car run on some Dish TV satellite dishes. That would be some interesting product placement to be sure, but the green flag back at got the drivers back on their way. That's Mills getting off to another flyer. That inside line, always the good spot on these restarts, and yet again for Mills, going to help him out a lot, doubly so considering he's on rather old tires. 52 laps in this stint at the present moment. Jordan Person and the number 14 car right behind is on 29 lap old tires, and it's about 0.3 of a second between those racers. He's still not out of the weeds just yet as Lucas Hoytsma trying to get a move done on him around the outside, heading off through 3 and 4 right now, taking that slingshot line to get that move done to slip his way up to P2.
Black flag for Kirk Mills.
Oh!
I'm going to keep an eye on what this was. It looks
I wonder
like
if it was for a
this
jump
is
start.
going to stand. That's going to stand. That must be for start procedure. He's going to drop into the pits. Is he going to make it without turning the car backwards? He is. He has to go through both pit lanes. That's a fast run. Turned into nothing. No wonder he was going so fast.
Yeah, I was just going to raise talking about that restart. That was borderline, and clearly iRacing deciding that it was too borderline for him to get away with it. A penalty being raised to Kirk Mills. And as you said, he's going to have to maintain that speed limit all the way through the corner. You can see him on that inside line, trundling his way down the pits. That is a kick. I can't even say a kick in the shins. That's a kick in the nuts if ever you've seen one. Tough break for Mills. He's going to be dropping down like a rock through this field. And what even is the way to recover from something like that? You're just going to have to keep your fingers crossed and hope to pick up some lucky dogs.
Lots of lucky dogs from a field that's racing very well and very green despite any of our past worries or perhaps our traumas coming up to ruin our day. No, it's a new day. It's a new day, and they're racing great. They're racing so well. Only a couple of small mistakes here and there, and I'm loving some of the long-run strategy I'm starting to see at play. Wideland and Hicksenbar are the two fewer tyre drivers who are really making a move through the field. They're going to get past Boston Wheeler, our last 60-lapper, who's holding it outside for dear life. There's still a long time to go until another stage caution. I'm surprised he's doing so well at it, but he keeps it going one last time. I keep feeling that 87 there is a little bit of contact. He moves him up the road. I keep feeling that 87 is going to drop below the yellow line. This is some terrifying defending, and you can see how much it's slowing it down. The gap ahead is now 2 seconds, and he's still just defending like his life depends upon it on that outside line where there's so much momentum. I think this might be at the beginning of the end. It still isn't. That outside line is kind of overpowered here. Yeah,
ripping the wall, carrying that momentum, heading down the start-finish, and just straight line blast. Keeping that momentum through, running the wall, running the rim, whatever way you want to describe it, running that outside line, clearly being the right spot to be in this race. As much as drivers may seek a bit of comfort on that inside, you can see there from the number 17 car, that right there was Kyle Amon having to put a big block on Matthew Boston Wheeler just to make sure that the 06 did not go for a move there. You can see the pace disparity coming out of those corners. I'd say it's probably about a 10-15 mile an hour difference at its highest in terms of the speed differential coming out of some of these corners between a driver on the outside versus one on the inside.
And I'm so amazed at how much pace he has here. I'm amazed for 66 laps that this is still just, it's so hard to pass. Harder to pass than I anticipated it would be. Oftentimes, races at Bristol are decided by the tyre wear. I mean, like, if the tyres don't wear, you get a Cup Series Bristol Night Race 24. And, you know, nothing happens, but tyres wear, the race strategy gets into play. But these cars are just holding top successfully. The black flag for Hunter Trill, not hearing anything in my ear about that, so I'm not quite sure the cause either. We don't get quite full transparency. It could have been a pit lane infraction while taking a pit stop. That's what I'm going to go with for now. Still, I mean, now we're starting to see the drop in pace. Now we're seeing quite a few about 2 in one go, but it was a good defense. 134, still a long time to go until that stage.
Yeah, we still got a decent amount of time left to go here in stage 2, and a whole lot of time left to go in this race. Haven't even hit the halfway mark. Only a third of the way through this race, a third and change. I think breaking at the true close to exact numbers, we'd probably be 3/8 of the way through it at the present moment. You can take that with a massive grain of salt. I was never very good at math class as a kid, so I will leave it off at that. Kyle Amon has been a very interesting driver to follow all throughout this race. Had the maneuver with himself and Jordan Person earlier on, and now finds himself in P5 with Bryson Hixenball getting a move done on him on the number 63 machine. That was on the inside line coming out of turn number 1 and 2 not terribly long ago, so I have a feeling that 17 car is still struggling ever so slightly.
Just the slow drop, though. I'm not seeing an anvil drop to the bottom of the field, and he might just have to take that for now and hold on to what he can. So many positions, so many points up for grabs in stock car racing. Every position counts, but at the same time, a good top half is something you could hold on to and cherish side by side. Hi there, Cody Bird and Mark Paget. We're seeing Bird use that top line one more time very effectively. A nice move and a nice go. So much grip up there, but it's about when you make the move up there, because it's clear it's faster. But if it was faster all the time for everyone with no trade-off, everyone would be there at all times. We're obviously not playing that game. So you have to understand the next part of the game, which is, well, when are you going to burn up your tyres up there? You have to use a lot more wheel to get down. You can't slow the car nearly as well. And that's the trade-off these guys are playing. These are some of the fresher tyres. Now 3 drivers on relatively fresh tyres before Heitzmer and Person up ahead, still with substantial gaps. They're not really under threat for now.
Yeah, as we continue to see this race develop and see the gap start to grow. It's a 1-second gap for Lucas Hoitzma at the front, growing that to 1.1 between himself and Jordan Person. And then the gap from Porson to Eric, from Person, second tries to charm, to Eric Wineland is rather big at about 1.5 seconds. So starting to see this field spread out a teeny tiny bit, getting into a comfortable run. Also starting to see the pace differential. That's a little bit different than that first long green flag run we had to kick this race off. Wells at the first 60-ish laps of this race held under perfectly green conditions with a small little bit of drama every now and then, but not a lot to bring the yellow out. Kind of seeing a bit of a different case here, since these drivers are running on different strategies, some of them on much older tires than the others, and getting a good representation as to what to expect throughout the rest of this race.
Well, a race like this is kind of what Bristol is all about. It is one of the long-run tyre management races of the schedule. You don't get to go flat out. You don't get to go fast. Ricky Bobby would have hated it here, but instead you have to play the game carefully and choose your battles and choose your timings. What we're still seeing tonight is John Kelly and Wheeler again, who's still dropping, still struggling, but again, like, not at a meteoric pace, at a pace where now, if people stop again in this stage, I'm not sure they will, but if people stop again in this stage and he could sort of join and have a really nice undercut on the next time around, if he doesn't stop, then he'll be going almost 100 laps on these tyres. Can his cars even handle that on the fuel? Up front, traffic everywhere, is Wineland and Person going side by side.
Yeah, the side-by-side racing continuing all throughout this field. Wineland trying to hold off the challenge from Person after he got that move done. Now Hixenball trying to get a move done on Person as well. Side-by-side racing heading down that start finish straightaway off into turn number 1, dealing with some pretty substantial lap traffic in the midst of all of this as well, which is not going to help out these drivers' cause one bit. Now at the halfway mark, 150 laps down, 151 to go. So this is the money point of this race. These drivers trying to get some moves done, some smoke getting kicked up in the air from a sideways snap for a driver in front. Still under green flag conditions here in the second stage. Not a lot of time left to go in it though, so this is going to be a real intense conclusion, doubly so considering that gap between Hoitzma and now the P2 runner of Wineland starting to decrease, only about 0.6 of a second now.
Person was all the way in the wall. That's where a lot of that smoke came from. He was doing the Darlington strike on the wonderful walls of Bristol. So some drivers are starting to feel the heat. 65 laps on these tyres for many of these drivers. Hoytsma out in front with longer tyre usage than the rest, and it's Wineland just 2 cars back. It's going to be the next one challenge, but the lap traffic is part of the game here. It is inescapable. This is like LA traffic if there was banking. God, that sounds like a nightmare. Why did I even think about that?
Honestly, I am very glad that I don't live in the city of Los Angeles. I mean, Grand Philadelphia isn't much better because, oh boy, some of the traffic jams I've been caught up in over the years. Oh. Anyways, I think before I start fantasizing / having nightmares about LA traffic, let's switch back to the racing action going on out there on the track and actually raise the discussion talking about the points, because we did load up those point standings in the earlier stages of this broadcast, and it should be noted, as it stands presently, your current race leader of Lucas Hoytsma coming into this round of the championship, he wasn't even in the top 16 points-wise, hasn't locked his way into the playoffs yet, hasn't set himself up good points-wise, wasn't even in the 4 drivers out of it at the present moment. So if Hoytsma can try and grab the win in all of this, that would be a fantastic day for him to be able to seal the deal. Eric Wineland, though, was the first driver out, only 1 point out to Tanner Marty, who was the last car in. He's now trying to get that move done to try and take the lead of this race. It'd be a good points day for him if he doesn't win, but he's seeing the opportunity to grab a checkered flag, and he is not going to let it slip through his fingers side by side. Heading off, that is through turn number 3 and 4 right now, as we follow Hoytsma and Wineland battling hard. I wonder if we're going to see Hoytsma struggle a little bit on that outside line. You could just see that head of speed he has heading through the straightaways.
But hugging that wall seems too fast. I don't know how Wineland would get any purchase if Hoytsma stays there and doesn't make a mistake. Obviously, the old tyres could make him hit that wall, but if he doesn't do it, this could be a very, very clean stage win, not denied. So you're seeing 140 to go. Stage ends when that says 130. So not long to go now. That's Wineland in the wall a little bit, and we can't forget about Bryson. You know, we can forget about what's going on there. Please make it stop. This is pain. There we go. Thank you very much. iRacing, behave yourself.
Oh boy,
it will
it's
not. It will not. Okay. See, there we go. We're back. We're back.
Yeah, there we go. It took us a little bit. That's the problem of fixing your camera onto a highly powerful and incredibly quick race car with a little bit of Scotch tape. No offense to Scotch tape, it can barely hold up Christmas lights. So if we're being completely honest, as trust me, I've tried. Some racing going on all throughout this field. This is incredible. I shouldn't have said that. If Scotch tape would like to send us some money here on Maconi Entertainment, certainly wouldn't mind that one bit. This is some close quarter stuff. These drivers stuck together. See what I did there? That was terrible. I apologize. This is a battle for the stage win at the end of all this. Wineland hitting the wall a couple of moments ago, coming out 3 and 4. That's not going to help out his cause one bit. Lucas Hoytsma still holding on to this race lead as it stands at the present moment, but dealing with a lot of lap traffic, a hornet's nest. He has to pick his way through, trying not to get stung in all of that. Wineland and Bryson Hicksonball will be the ones to close in. Hoytsma and Wineland looking to seal their way into the playoffs. Hicksonball, on the other hand, already has 3 wins. He is firmly in the playoffs and the highest point-scoring driver thus far. So, as much as he doesn't need it, he would still love to grab the 4th win.
A major wreck involving Phillips and the quarter. Will catch the replay on the stage break. We did stay green for it. One of those iRacing moments where they stay just below the line and we don't go yellow. For now, it's lap traffic hell up on the inside line. They're giving the outside to all of these drivers, though, have their battle, but you can't get side by someone when you are just absolutely in the midst of it. Look at all of this. We know the 3 cars are in the battle, but it almost looks like everybody wants to be a part of this game.
Yeah, everyone's just raising their hand saying, hey, I want to be a part of this too. It's pretty awesome to see from our perspective in the commentary booth, but I think we're very happy that we don't have these drivers' hard rates at the present moment. Now coming to the end of this stage, it's Hoytsma leading over Wineland in P2. Bryson Hicksonball riding after top 3 as it stands at the present moment. Hicksonball trying to hold on as it stands presently, but at the front of the field, Lucas Hoytsma going to grab the stage win at the end of all of it. The number 97 car Started up towards the front, dropped down a little bit, but has made his way back up to the north end of the field. The Indiana native in the number 97 car going to win stage 2 here. 170 laps on the board of this 300-lap long race. You can see the rest of the top 10 there. Hoytsma on the comeback tour, though. That number 97 car has come alive.
A great stage, well won. Here's hoping we don't have a catastrophe on a jump start that ruins the third stage. Maybe I'm just mixing things a bit. I want to catch the replay of this wreck with Tim Phillips. This happened during the stage. We stayed green for it. I believe this is Phillips' car we're looking at right here. It's involved a tow to the pit lane. Am I wrong? I'm sure it is somewhere. Let's get Joseph McWater's tow to the pit. Oh, there it is. Oh, should have spoken too soon. 3 cars into each other. Get the chopper.
I think if they slowed down, if they slowed down by another mile an hour, that probably would have resulted in a full course yellow, breaking up that battle up towards the front. Let's take a look at a replay of this. I swear to God, if that Jumbotron blocks this view, I am going to cause a riot. There you can see contact being made. A random bumper car is heading down that straightaway off into the corner. Typical Bristol stuff. Usually with a crash at Bristol, it starts about at the very least a fifth of the racetrack behind where the actual yellow comes at. Usually starts down one of the straightaways and ends coming out of the following corner.
Well, we've had a big pit stop from along the field, except for Steve Benjamin, who sits at the top with 62 laps on the tyres. He hasn't stopped, and I'd be surprised if he doesn't get a wave around, but no, the scoring's putting him at P1 of racing, and that's a scary place to be. Here he goes end of line. I think he's requested the end of line in order to end up at the back of there, so that might fix that situation, which leaves a field on fresh tyres. Eric Wineland leading again with Hoytsma on the outside. And Person will take up the next row. We do need another pace lap in order to make this field make sense, but we'll be back to green before you know it.
Yeah, I gotta get this race restarted yet again. Whether or not this is a final restart remains to be determined. Howie, what would you say the chances are that there's a final restart we have coming up to get the final stage underway?
Well, this has been a very, very, very clean and well-disciplined race at Bristol. I heard that drivers' meeting, and they were telling people what to do in case of caution, because they just imagined that they were going to happen quite often. Because this is a sort of track, this can happen when someone gets a little bit too daring. But instead, we've just had a couple small mistakes, and they happen in a field this big. The green miracle is very unlikely, as ever. So I think it's been a very well-behaved field, and there could be 1 or 2 more accidents at kick-off, 1 or 2 more dramas, but I actually have the feeling that this field might have a good run to the end. Pace car's going in. Let's get it going.
And let's see if this is the final restart. Only time will tell with 125 laps left to go. That's a rather early jump from Hoytsma. I'm going to be keeping my eyes to see whether or not there's another black flag. Saw that earlier on with the 1-point race leader of Kirk Mills. And wonder if we'll have a case of deja vu here for Hoytsma. He's still within striking distance, though, at least in terms of Wineland being within striking distance of him. That may be a battle that we have to talk about. Actually, no, Wineland back up into the race lead and all of that. I mixed up the two. One's in the 87, the other's in the 97. They basically have the same font on that race car, so it can give me a little bit of an excuse. I don't know, maybe I just need to get new prescription glasses. But as it stands presently, Wineland in the race lead. Lucas Hoytsma slipped into P2. My apologies for that mix-up, folks. Bryson Hicksonball and all that still finds himself in third, and as much as we've talked about him winning 3 races thus far, this is a well-composed drive from the driver of the number 63 car. Not just swinging for the fences all the time, picks his way through the field methodically, and then finds himself in the spot where he will be in contention for the race win.
This is one of the things the stage racing has really done here, is it's put everyone on a completely even strategy for the race finish. I think there will be another green flag pit stop. 120 laps is certainly too challenging to go for, but resetting this race on the neutral ground is very much going to test people's ability to use their stuff up again. I liked the strategy we had just before, but, you know, this is the world we live in. Welcome to modern stock car racing. I am not going to be a boomer anymore. I'm too young to call myself that, and it will give me an existential crisis. But there is a unique challenge in here. Everyone running the bottom right now, we know it's slower, but we know it's where you save those tyres by slowing the car down quite effectively, as you have a few in the wall already. No one really ready to swing for those fences yet, but who's going to be the first to jump out of line and who's going to be the first to make those moves? It's going to be a very tight timing game.
Man, imagine that broadcast open. Let me do that real quick. Hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Maconi Entertainment, and welcome to Howie Burrows' Existential Crisis. See, that doesn't have the same ring to it as some other iRacing events. I think we'll make sure that doesn't happen here, and we'll get back to the racing action here. The drivers coming into the pits. Cameron Stone spending a whopping 4 minutes and 30 seconds down in his pit stall. That you don't need to be a rocket scientist or as one person said on Facebook one time, which has always stuck out of my head. You don't need to be a rocket surgeon to know that that is a stupid amount of time down in pit lanes, so something has clearly gone awry for Cameron Stone in that race car. I think he is potentially exiting the pits at the present moment, albeit well farther down in the pack. This has been a race that hasn't seen the attrition that we were probably expecting it to, if we're being completely honest, Howie, but it's still been a good one nevertheless.
So some important news about the 69 car. I tried to chase down this news answer earlier, and I couldn't quite find a channel to give me an answer, and it's been delivered right into our laps. Instead, the penalty for the 69 was actually changing lanes before the start-finish line. That is penalisable in this league, and that got him eaten. So it wasn't even quite the jump start, but it was another starting infraction in a league that does take those very, very seriously. Fast car can get destroyed by messing up procedure, but there's your responsibility to know it on the track. And he'll be very disappointed in an outcome like that.
Yeah, I can imagine he is rather upset with how things have shaken out for him as a result of all of that. But back up at the front of the field, some racing maybe got flare-up involving Lucas Hoytsma and Bryson Exenbach, as that's a yellow for a car stopped heading off through 3 and 4. I could see that puff of smoke, and then as soon as I saw that puff of smoke, I saw the yellow come out, and as soon as I saw that yellow, I saw in the corner of my eye, looked like a white car that was stopped on the outside, so something is not going right for a competitor. Let's take a look at the moment, possibly involving the 53.
Steve Benjamin's car. That's all I know. I'm going to find out more. Does he an end-of-line penalty for this?
Oh,
it's that rejoin that causes the yellow into the 39.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, I'm not really sure if he had a conscious say in that being the rejoin that he had to do. Looked like he was still very much so out of control when that took place. You can see spinning, I think he may have had a slight bit of say in all of that. Not very happy with the move that the number 39 car pulled off on him. The 53 drop back to the end of the line come time for this restart, as overall not very happy about bringing out another caution in this race. 108 laps still on the board, but nonetheless, it's going to be crunch time, where we may end up seeing one of the latest and most important round of pit stops during all this.
Only a few, and they are interesting in nature. Most drivers choosing to hold fort, but I think a few of these drivers that are laps down or quite some distance back are trying to see what they can do. Mark Paget was in P8. He's going to choose to try and take the stop and drop quite a bit, but a lot of the front of this field are staying put, and it has only been 20 laps. It makes sense to me, and also an end of line. Cameron Stone, plenty being given out. Probably not going to hit the DQs today. Whether that's fortunate or unfortunate, that's up to you. You can decide that one in your head. But yeah, my call of the green run was not to be, unfortunately. But I mean, with 29 cars on the track, it's just so easy for one person to be an inch off, and then it's catastrophe.
Yeah, it's a matter of inches here in a race like this. A half a mile track, the margins are so tight, and just seeing how close these drivers can get, not even time-wise, just literally speaking, It can be very, very tough. It is an inches game for sure here at Bristol, despite the fact it's a 300-lap long race. Matter of inches can make or break it all. We've seen some drivers get caught out by some penalties. We've seen some drivers get caught out by some incidents. So calling a race like this an inches game, I think, is a very fair description.
It's not about where you are for most of the race. I will argue it's not even about where you are under the stages. It's about where you are at the end. That's what history's going to remember you for. And while I'd say that the race has been held in control of this top four very conclusively for some time, things can change. The rug can get pulled out from under you. Horrible things can happen in traffic, and before you know it, you're looking at the back of it all. Still more than 100 to go. That was my throat starting to make that hard for me. More than 100 to go. So, you know, it's certainly not a sprint. It is another marathon ahead. It's the whole final third. Still probably expecting green flag pit stops, and this will be our last lap to green.
And let's see if this is the final restart. I have a feeling that's not, but hey, I've seen a lot of stuff go on in races like this. This could be the final restart. It could be like the 10th from last. Green flag back out. Wineland getting off to a flyer on the inside. That inside line has had the best restarts by far all throughout this race, and even at the initial start, it was the other line to be in as well. So clearly benefiting Wineland as he leads over Hoytsma P2. Bryson Hicksonball running at the top three. Some side-by-side racing going on involving, this is rather interesting. That right there you can see is the two drivers who came to blows early on. That's Eamon and Person. Those two had a small little bit of a rough-on-up session earlier on, and they're back right next to each other. So let's see how this ends.
Good pass by the 17 on the outside, but a little bit of contact might get repaid. That is indeed short track racing. Hoytsma gets within 100, and every time he does, I get a little bit more scared, and I think, what's going to happen this time? And then he sort of backs out and chooses not to do it. That's no woods quite washing up wide. There are marbles building there, so no, he's committed. He's going for it already. He wants to burn that stuff in order to get there. He's P7 already. It's a good takeaway of points, but you know, good is never good enough for a racer.
Yeah, iRacing drivers, and just drivers period, are always going to be opportunistic. They will see an opportunity to make up some moves, and they're going to go for it. A racer period is never going to be happy with a good day. They want a great day. They want the win at the end of all this. I think with the other iRacing update, you can now actually drive into victory lane here at Bristol, and fingers crossed we'll see a driver actually do that instead of taking the ramp up into victory lane with a bit too much speed and probably ramping into the grandstands. Don't want to read out an obituary at the end of all of this, but still some close quarter stuff at the front of the field. Wineland and Hicksonball. This is a battle for the driver who entered this race 1 point south of that playoff cutoff line versus a driver who already has 3 wins. So this is a battle involving just about as 2 different of iRacers that you can get in this series.
Yeah, but if there's one thing that both these drivers are is fast. We've not seen a pass on the inside work yet, but Hicksonball was almost brave enough to do it before just losing momentum and backing out. I think he's diving for that inside on purpose, though. You've got to throw them off their game. You've got to sort of play them at it. If you're the winningest driver in the Xfinity Light so far, what do you want to do but a little bit more winning? Still not quite ready to make it happen, but he's got 100 laps. He knows he's got 100 laps, right? He knows that this isn't just his race. Start then, let's go for it. And you've got to wait for the time to strike. Everybody on the same strategy about how you use it now.
Strike that iron while it is hot. That's going to be what these drivers have to do. If you strike while it's cold, not going to be able to bend anything at all. While it's hot, though, you can really start to make some ground up. We're following Jordan Person. And the the yellow coming back out in this race. I think it may have been Matthew Boston Wheeler. Yeah, that's a big stack up of race cars. That's heading through 1 and 2. Wheeler hitting the wall on corner exits. And that section of the circuit turning into a scrap heap. I think there's a big conundrum hang down that start-finish straightaway off into 1 and 2.
This is going to be a bit of an experience to spot. Let's see how we can. There's going to be a lot of penalties dished out for this one as well. Trying to get a useful cam on this to get an eye on it. But a lot happens very, very quickly. 6 is one of the cars that's slowest, but it all kicks off just quite a bit further up the road, really. Who do you think's most guilty? Let's get a peek. Let me just catch it. The Taco Bell car, the 13. That's what I'm going to lock in on. I'm locking in on Cody Bird. I think something's happening here.
Yeah, let's see if his bell gets wrong in the Taco Bell car.
It's further ahead.
Yeah, that right there. Not sure who was involved in that. You can see the 57 of Cameron Stone. Oh my God, you can see the 03. Yeah, he was already just about to flip over. I think he got clipped in all of this. Let's take a look at it in that Budmobile. I think it's way down that back straightaway, off into 3 and 4 right now. Still looking good. Got the 82 and the 02 right in front. They make contact into the inside wall and bang! Oh my God, that's a violent crash for the 03.
And it does kick off with the 82 and the 02. We're trying to find the source of the crime. I'll just be able to catch the replay of that from the chopper one more time. It's these two cars that decide it. It's the 82 coming a bit off the wall, the 02 coming in place, and from that point onwards, it's a wrecking field. This is what we were warned about. There's drivers were warned that a caution will come fast and you're going to have to brake fast. That's our first big one that has really claimed the field. Lots of victims. You can see them stacking up on the pit stop tower. There's too many to count. And by that I mean someone's going to give me a really smart comment after the race going, yeah, but you can count. It's just 5. I'm sure it is, buddy. Sure it is.
Yeah, see, that's part of the reason why I kind of stopped talking about history. As much as I would consider myself to be a racing nerd, there's some times where I just hear some stuff in the comments where it's like, oh yeah, you had this off by like a year. I'm like, okay, as long as I got the right decade, I feel like I'm close enough in a situation like that. But hey, we love all the people tuning into this broadcast here on Maconi Entertainment tonight. And hey, if you are enjoying this broadcast at the present moment, how about you hit that like button and subscribe here to Maconi Entertainment so you never miss out on any of the racing action. Because have it be known, we got you covered. In fact, coming up tomorrow, we've got the action from the full-length Cup Challenge. They're going to be running at this exact same racetrack. A little bit longer, a little bit more racing to talk about there in terms of the lap count, but that's going to be some fun there. I believe it'll be Kirk Mills, who we saw run into some difficulties earlier on, and Mr. Justin Prince on call for all of that action as well. But here tonight for the Xfinity Series Friday Night Lights event, we're waiting for the lights to go out on that pace car to bring this field back into green flag conditions. It is going to be a dogfight at the end of all of this. It's getting to the point where it's still not a sprint to the line, but it's still going to be a lot shorter than these drivers probably thought. The green flag back at. Drivers back on their way. Kirk Mills picking up another black flag, so salt's getting rubbed into the wounds for the driver of the number 69 car. Right as he made his way back up into the top 20 and currently running in 12th at the present moment, may potentially get waived. We'll just have to wait and see how that all shakes out. But Wineland still leading it over Bryson Hicksonball in the number 63 car, with Jordan Person rounding out the top 3.
These top 3 have really just kept it consistent for longer than I can even count at this time. Amon's fairly new to it as Kelly flies from the top to the bottom. Weitzman wants to be back in there. What a cut up and down the track for Kelly. It looks like the first time the inside was made to work. It's a bit of a surprise move, and there's still momentum going. Maybe some help on the bottom from Weitzman. I think that 17 is actually getting eaten on the top. It's the first time I've seen a driver not quite make the top work for themselves, and that momentum suddenly isn't coming together. Weitzman has far fresher tyres. He stopped 7 laps on him. We have another yellow.
Yeah, the yellow flag coming out yet again. I think there may have been an incident a little bit farther in the back of the field, which is going to raise the track evolution. Could be part of the reason why that outside line is slowly but surely getting a bit more hospitable. Austin Evie has picked up an end of the longest line penalty, and I wonder if there's some sort of on-track drama that may have netted him that penalty. Let's see. Following the 82, heading his way down that back straightaway off into 3 and 4 right now. Still looking good, still looking good. Hits the curb, hits the inside line. That's not looking good. Bang, into that inside wall. That's another moment for the 82. 2 yellows in a row.
Just a bit of a self-spin off the top, and that is the beginning of the end for him. That's a few penalties. I'm looking out for what Austin Evely did myself in order to earn that one. There any way that a 30-second replay might catch me with the context, or maybe I'll miss it completely. A few more pit stops coming out. That's a penalty for a pit lane infraction somewhere. I know it. I could feel it in my bones. Lots of drivers heading down pit road. Eric Wineland and Hicks and Bart staying out with 47 on the tyres, but plenty of movement inside this pit road. Lots of cars stopping.
Yeah, lots of drivers coming into pit lane right about now. 80 laps left to go, so we are really in that point of the race where these drivers can make it to the end if they want to, at least in terms of tires. And I wonder if they will decide to do it. Kirk Mills picking up an end-of-the-line penalty, so that may be rubbing salt into the wounds yet again for the driver of the number 69 car. Picked up a black flag on that restart we saw a couple of moments ago. However, that did not stick, so that is going to be a good moment for him. But that end of the longest line penalty will certainly not be a good moment.
It's like an achievement unlocked. We're just trying to stack up as many penalties as we can. I once saw someone catch, I think, 7 penalties under a single caution. It was just like this endless list of like everything that could possibly go wrong for you, just stacked up against each other. It's like I think that takes special levels of achievement. Back on how we tyre watch over here, top 4 on 50 lap old tyres. Lucas Hoitzma on 11 lap old tyres. He's made his way up the field, and now he has the rubber to potentially launch an attack. I'll be amazed if the others still make it on 78 when they're already going to have 50 burned. But they've also not stopped for a reason. They can see the lap count as much as we can. I'm no strategy genius. I don't know the fuel mileage inside these cars. I've not been keeping track of everybody's stuff. They probably know it better than me. Yeah, but we're getting to the point of the race where the strategy is going to be a rather big factor. I mean, considering these drivers were limited to only 5 sets of tires, it was certainly going to be a huge thing. Riding in these drivers' mind from the drop of the green flag to the point of the race we find ourselves in right now, coming up to only 75 laps left to go in this 300-lap long race. This race has absolutely flown by, and to all of you tuning into this broadcast on Maconi Entertainment, we hope you enjoy this broadcast here this evening. It's been a fun one, at least from my perspective here in the commentary booth. That trouble with the Jumbotron notwithstanding, I think it's been fun for the both of us here thus far, Howie, and the fun is still far from over. Do we just have a driver blink in out of existence here? I think we may have potentially seen some sort of stuff go on like that. Kirk Mills picking up another black flag. I wonder if that will get waived, or I think it was just cleared. So there we go from Kirk Mills. At the front of the field, Wineland in front of Bryson Hicks, while Kyler Amon running at your top 3 as it stands at the present moment. These drivers continue to go side by side. I'm going to keep an eye on Hoitzma throughout this run. He's the only driver on fresh tyres within this set, and they are really going to start matching. He's already hitting that top line. He knows he has the advantage if he pushes it. He could make his all the way to the top of the field before people are forced to stop again, as Wineland set a fastest lap of the race. Not seeing one of those in a while, a 14.912. And that is a good lap from the driver, the number 87 car, peaking at the right time. We've talked about the point situation throughout this broadcast. I'll raise it yet again. Entering this race, Eric Wineland found himself in P13 in those playoff standings after 8 races. The latest coming at Darlington 1 week ago. He found himself 1 point short of that cutoff line. Tanner Marty was in 12th, 1 spot above it, so 1 point above it, I should say.
So this is going to be a good day for Wineland. Even if he doesn't grab the win, if he can hold on to a top 5 spot, that is going to be a good points day for him. And looking through some of the other drivers who've had some either good points days or really bad one, Kirk Mills, good recovery drive from him, finds himself back up into the top 10. Hey, if we have some more cautions, we may have to talk about him. Maybe being in contention for the race win. Entered this race 9th in the points after showing some pretty good speed. Was probably hoping for a win at the end of all this, but hey, a good points day is a good points day no matter how you slice it. And just set the fast lap of the race last time by, we may have to talk about Kirk in the 69 car. He is a man on a mission.
It's a nice car and it's a nice drive. He's been up and down the field. A green flag pit stop can be devastating and take you out of the race by any means, but he's flying. He's consistently proven he's fast. He's just been a bit of a dark horse because we've not really noticed him just cut through. He has tyres even newer than Hoytsma's. Hoytsma's on 21. Mills is on 11. Mills has so much he can push an attack with, and just those tyres alone, he is eating up drivers. Left, right, and centre. The end of the run is going to matter a lot. I see smoke. There's a car in the infield. We're going to get away with that, but work out exactly who that is. Jeremy Clapper Newell. May have just self-spun it to the bottom of the track.
And you can see the smoke still in the air heading through here. That's always a rather terrifying sight, at least from our perspective in the commentary booth. It's like, alrighty, here we go, smoke in the air. What caused it? Here was what caused it, and yeah, that had to have been some sort of hardware failure, I suspect.
Well, he got it off the track, he kept it safe, and we are still green as a result. 65 to go. Time flies, whether or not you're having fun at Bristol, and Kirk Mills is flying. He wants to claim this P5, and he could even do it on the bottom with his tyre gap. This is outrageous.
This is going to be some fun. Kirk Mills getting that move done to slip his way up into 5th. Very briefly, John Kelly having that run on the outside. This is yet again that dichotomy, talking about the outside versus the inside. We saw it earlier on. Mills was confident on the outside, but he's been experimenting more with the inside as of recent, proving that it's still the good spot to find yourself in. But he finally cleared him after a couple of laps of trying. Now got to be side by side with a lapped car. Has to reel in the number 17 of Eamon, but I think Kirk Mills is peaking at the right time now. 62 laps left to go in this 300-lap long race, and for Kirk Mills, he enters this coming up to the final 6th of this race, the final 50 laps, solidly in that discussion.
I feel like we're gonna get dressed down by no means the boss, but certainly by the audience for bias down there. But I don't know, he's actually just been an absolute superstar this race, and he's been flying. It's gonna be between Hoytsma and Mills. I think Hoytsma is outrageously fast as well. He's proven it constantly throughout the season. He's ready to try and claim a win again. But everyone else is on tyres just too old. They might even have to stop again. We're approaching lap 69 on tyres for most of the drivers, and then these drivers are at least 30 clear, 40 clear. Kirk Mills even newer. He is still chasing on the inside. He's made his own line work, and it doesn't matter how fast you're on the outside. You're against this rubber. Interesting to see how these two are going to battle each other, because I think when he hits that 97, that's when the real battle's going to begin until it's not becoming easy. And of course, we're talking about Hoytsma as if Wineland isn't running some great laps.
Yeah, and we're rapidly approaching the end of this race. 57, now 56 laps left to go at the end of all this. Wineland still leading over Hoytsma. That 0.6 of a second is the gap between those two racers, a side-by-side between Hickson Ball and Kirk Mills. Mills on the inside line, going to get that move done to slip his way up into the final podium spot. That 69 car, he is a man on a mission. He's got a little bit of vinegar in his veins in all of this as well. Had that penalty earlier on, which was a giant kick in the shins, found himself falling outside of the top 20 and going a couple of laps down, but ever since then he put his nose to the grindstone, and that number 69 car now finds himself in a podium spot with over 50 laps left to go. Kirk Mills, he's proven himself to be quick. Vineland has been quick throughout a decent chunk of this race, and Hoytsma maybe trying to lead where it matters, lead at the start and lead at the finish. The rest of the race really immaterial. Hoytsma peaking at the right time too. This is a lot of drivers converging on each other at the exact same point in time, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it all shakes out.
We really have two chases going on at once, and while I think Kirk Mills has a game on his hands, now it's in control of Hoytsma. He has a significant advantage on tyre wear. He's had a significant advantage on pace for a while. Wineland has to be falling off here. It's been 76 laps. You know what Bristol does to tyres. You know what that surface does to them, and you know what this hot day is going to be doing, just bearing down upon them. Wineland stays high though. He's making it challenging still. Kirk Mills reeling in the gap, although some of this is Hoytsma being held up. It's going to be the duel for the win between the second and third place car here, and it's going to be electric in the end.
Oh, it is going to be a thrilling finish at the end of this race here at Bristol. Now under 50 to go. We're going to crunch time. We're going to see these drivers start to go for moves that they probably would not have done in the earlier stages. And starting to see Hoytsma force this issue a little bit with Wineland. They're side by side, heading their way off through 1 and 2 right now. Hoytsma holding on to that inside. Wineland stuck on the outside in the 87. That 97 dealing with some traffic as well, having to thread the needle. But all that, look at Kirk Mills. He is within striking distance as well. These three racers running line astern, nose to tail. 3 cars covered by practically nothing. Mills going for the dive, heading their way off through that series of corners. That right there is 3 and 4, and it's a battle for 2 and 3 at the moment. Wineland trying his best to hold on to second. Was at one point in the race lead a matter of about 5 laps ago. Now battling as hard as he can to remain in the runners-up spot. Lap traffic still. That's the 03 car. That's going to catch up Mills badly. 3 wide, hang down the start finish straight away off into 1 and 2. That's going to be a bit of a reset for this situation. It's also going to allow Hoytsma to break away a bit.
6 attempts. Absolute disaster. Nothing like a damaged Dale Jr. to hold up your charge. He has pace in the tank. He's actually just lost his place back to Eric Wineland. He has to do all of that again. The lap traffic giveth it, take him away. Welcome to Bristol, son. You're in for a long ride. Kirk Mills clears the easier opponent. Now this chase, I don't know who this advantage is going to go towards. It really could be either. It really could play just based on the traffic. It really could play just based upon what's happened to the tyres up to now. I can't make any guesses. I can't make any predictions. All I can do is just sit back and watch this joy. Kirk Mills is fast. He's a tenth faster every lap. If he does this for 10 laps, he'll be up to the back of it. It's a big ask, but you're going to just have to keep an eye on these deltas on the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, see the give and take, these drivers closing up, then that gap growing, then closing up, then back growing. I wonder if in all that, Kirk Mills, he put on some rather rousing overtakes, but does he have enough stuff under him to be able to reel in that gap? It may only be a second, but it's still a second nonetheless. That is a gap that Kirk Mills will have to ring in unless Hoytsma catches up to some traffic and gets a real short end of the stick in the midst of all of that. We still have to worry about a caution coming out between now and the end. 40 laps left to go in this race. That's plenty of opportunity for someone a little bit farther back to get struck by a falling anvil.
Just watch Noah Woods there on tyres as fresh as Hoytsma's, getting around some of these aging drivers. 88 laps now on Hickson Bar and Wineland. I mean, this is now the beginning of the end for these tyres for some of these drivers. This top 3, I think Noah Woods is going to claim the top 3 easily, and then that's the freeway shootout. Anyone that stayed out and hasn't played the strategy game right, if they don't stop now, they are going to just be slow as molasses. This is now starting to become a bit of a disaster for any that want that top 3. I could also look at Mark Padgett in 7th, he's slightly fresher. So tyres have played the game again. I'm not sure if a stop is due. I'd have to imagine that it has to be at some point for some of these drivers now.
And this is going to be a thriller at the end of all of this. 36 laps left to go. Now make that 35. Cliff Mullins spending a whole lot of time down pit lane. Things really not going well for him in this race. But at the front of the field, still about a second, teetering around that same gap. Hoytsma, as much as he's not pulling away, Kirk Mills not really in the opportunity to be able to reel that gap in a lot. It's going to be a management situation for both of those drivers. Managing the traffic as best as humanly possible will be the game changer in all of this. It can make or break your race, and I think for Hoytsma, he's doing everything he needs to do to remain at the front.
Just keeping an eye on what's going on elsewhere back, because some drivers are still battling each other. Jordan Person on Kyle Ammon. They've had enough problems already today. Why not make it go side by side again? But you could see, you just see with your eyes how slow the old tire cars are going now, and just how sluggish they are through the corners. They're going to try and hold on for dear life. Here's Noah Woods. He's ready to take third place. He just needs to clear Eric Wineland, and with the tyre gap, this could be easy, but as ever, the lap traffic is about to give it and take it away.
Yeah, lap traffic can giveth and lap traffic can taketh. I think I've read that in a fortune cookie before, ironically enough, a fortune cookie right by a racetrack, which is rather fitting. Hoytsma and Mills is now about a second and a half between those racers, so I think the lap traffic has giveth in the case of Hoytsma and taketh in the way of Mills. The gaps at the front of the field, the gaps all throughout this field are growing. I say that as they're 3 wide actively on screen at the moment, with Eric Wineland in the midst of all of that right now. I keep saying Vineland. That's a town in New Jersey. Eric Wineland is a driver in this race, currently running in third. Cliff Mullins still stopped there 15 and a half seconds down in pit lane, so I believe one of his, I think he decided to get out of that car and potentially have a chicken sandwich, so we may end up seeing one of the mechanics in that car get behind the wheel to bring it to the checkered flag. 27 laps now left to go for Hoytsma.
It's been a very good hold. Uh-oh! I just heard the caution as I said that. It's a big one. It's Jordan Person and Tanner Marty involved. No, it's not Person again on the 17. Oh! That 99 just flies up the inside.
Yeah, that was rather... I'm going to have to take a look at another angle of that to get a better view, compartmentalize everything that we saw go on there, because it was a lot of stuff going on in the span of just a couple of seconds. You see the 17 and the 14 side by side, rather gingerly so considering the drama that happened earlier on. The 99 feeling some pressure from the 29 right behind, the 14 getting stacked up by the 17, and the 99 being a bit too overly opportunistic goes for that move, and the 07 with absolutely nowhere to go on the inside getting a piece of that action.
Here there were a few complaints of a few ARCA brakes, and well, that's someone else joining the action when they see the yellow. Why not just become part of the game? And now this is the hard reset. I'm not sure if anyone in the front wanted this. They were using their tire delta, and now it's all over for one super sprint. Probably going to go over about 21 to 20 to go, as everyone now is going to take their final set of tires if they have one.
This is the crunch time, the most important pit stop of them all, and how's it going to work out for these two drivers? Right as I thought that it was going to be Hoytsma's, it's going to be Kirk Mills jumping into the race lead in comfortable fashion. The 97 having to spend a lot more time down in the pits. I wonder if Kirk Mills short-filled. That would not shock me at all. If anything, it may be the strategy to go for, get that track position. Now that you're back up at the front of the field, try and stretch out your legs in that number 69 machine.
I can confirm that Mills spent a lot less time in the pit. I'm going to try and work out if he took 2 or short field. Let's watch the jacks. Right side up. Spends about half the time in pit road. He's right sides only. That's the game he's played to get ahead of the field. Right sides for Kirk. Everyone else on all 4.
I mean, if these drivers, if you are Kirk Mills, if you're feeling confident in that call, maybe, potentially. We've seen some stranger things happen before. And, you know, if he can hold on to it, credit where credit is due to him, he's going to be on the inside line for this restart, so he will have that in his back pocket. But I don't exactly hate that call from Kirk Mills, if I'm being completely honest there, Howie.
I'm not driving the car, but I'm always scared when I see someone take rights only. I mean, like, it's obviously, it's sometimes tried and tested, but it has windows where it falls apart, especially in a car that, when on the edge of balance, the Xfinity car kicks you to the ground and makes you scream. Like, I am interested, to say the least. I can't tell you whether it's going to be good or bad, because we have 21 laps to find out if pace car's going to go in. And I'll leave this sprint to you.
Let's get this sprint underway. These drivers have stretched their legs under this yellow, and now they have to run. Mills got to go off to a flyer on that inside line. Hoytsma now going to have to deal with a side-by-side fight between himself and Eric Wineland. Wineland in the number 87 car on that inside, trying to displace of Hoytsma. The 87 and 97 side-by-side, heading their way onto that start finish straight away. Look at the 63, though, of Bryson Hixenball. That car already has 3 wins up to this point in the season. He's going to be a driver we have to keep tabs on. 3 wins in 8 races. It's been a dominant start for Hixenball, and based off the fact that he hasn't been too flashy and flamboyant in this race, he's just been subtly there in the background, hypothesizing and strategizing as these drivers push their stuff to the limit of control. Kirk Mills, though, despite the fact he had that early jump, he hasn't been able to stretch his legs out as much as he probably had in mind. That gap now of tenth and a half, I should say, between himself and Hoytsma. Hoytsma held off that challenge from the number 87 of Wineland to remain in P2, and he's still in the catbird seat to get moved on Mills.
Fastest lap from Hixenbauer. He is taking absolutely no victims. A 97, he's loose behind the 69. That's going to completely open it up. The Woods now fastest. 97, a good save to keep the car in one place. But he's lost a lot of pace, and he's opened it back up to Kirk Mills, running the wall as tight as he possibly can. The Woods here, he is fast. He's in the wall. Make that a commentator's curse. This could be anyone's game in this top 5, but I'm concerned about Mills' tyres. I'm not sure those left sides are going to last.
Yeah, will Kirk Mills be able to make that strategy call work? Now with 14 laps left to go, and this is 14 laps which are going to be a test for Kirk Mills. 28 corners left, and look at that, the blocking heading down that back straightaway. Hoytsma trying to get a move done on the inside, muscling past. This is a fight between the 97 and the 69 for the race win here in round number 9 of this Friday Night Lights series, and it's going to be Hoytsma getting that move done on Kirk Mills. That 2-tire strategy worked for a time, but he's now dropped down to P2. Kirk Mills on the fall back as Hixenball maybe got to get a move done on him as well. I'm going to keep my eyes on the 63. He may be the driver to keep tabs on.
Kirk Mills there went in the back of the 97, pushed him up into the wall, got away with it, but that's going to get him cleared. Going further on the outside keeps him safe. That's the 99 off the center with a meatball. I think it was self-inflicted. I was wondering if there was a big wreck involved. We keep going. Kirk Mills just feels like he's on the edge of control on that top line. There's contact. We're door banging. The driver that's going to like to see this the most, though, is Lucas Hoytsma.
Yeah, Hoytsma in the lead for now. He's going to be enjoying the sight of that gap growing, but he's not going to enjoy the fact that number 63 of Bryson Hixenball, the dominant driver up to this point here in the season, is now going to be unchallenged. As look at that big contact being made. Noah Woods in the 68 machine giving a tap to the 69 of Kirk Mills. Noah Woods gonna lose out on a boatload of time and all of that. Mills probably gonna need a change of pants in the midst of all that. That was a big sideways snap coming out of that series of corners a few moments ago. That is some lap traffic that the drivers at the front of the field are currently having to deal with. Hoytsma now with a 4.5 of a second gap between himself and Bryson Hixenball with 8 laps left to go. As much as that 63 car is a man on a mission, he's gonna have to maybe hope for Hoytsma to run into some difficulties here.
But so many lap cars, anything can happen between now and then. We see a car almost sideways. The 29, it's not the 29, but the 29 goes around anyway. That's 2 that have wrecked. And
there's the yellow.
Yeah, there's our yellows. 2 things happened at once there. Jeremy Clapper Newell, one of the 2. Let's try and piece together this puzzle.
Yeah, this was a lot of stuff going on. Look at that. That's a close call for Hoytsma. That was a code brown moment for the driver of the number 97 car. The 24, though, still running strong. There right there is Hixenball getting the move done on him in the number 63 machine. And here comes the 87. Still looking good for now. The lap traffic of the 27 right in front. I don't have a good feeling about this. Oh, that could have ended in tears. That's a checkup from the 87. The 69, contact being made. A tap to the back of the 24 from the front of the 69 car. That's going to loop up Miranda and bring out what may very well be the final yellow of this race. This may send us off into overtime as well.
And then there's the 29 into the 24. That's probably actually the cause of yellow. 2 incidents kicking off one after another. I'm hearing some attempt at coordination in the driver channel. Them saying like, hey, we need to finish this real soon. Some of us have things to do at Bristol Motor Speedway. As I believe Xfinity is running there in real life as I speak, if I'm not mistaken, or something. I think it might be the trucks are running there as I speak right now, actually.
Yeah, it's the trucks. I was just going to say it is the other trucks running there here tonight, because I was actually tuning into the start of that trucks race right before this show. Oh, that's actually Dave Hoytsma, so that's not going to affect it too much. Lucas Hoytsma going to not be involved in that. You got punked there. As it feel how you got punked in terms of that. So that's don't worry, it will have caught me out as well. I've been there and done all of that. I remember one time doing a broadcast. It was a multi-class Formula race with some Formula Vs and Formula Fords, and saw a Formula Ford catch up to lap some of the Vs, and I was like, man, holy cow, look at that run. I realized it was a Formula Ford and had to eat my words promptly thereafter. But with all that being said, we're coming to this restart. It's going to be a green-white checkered attempt here. And this is going to be a pressure cooker situation for the drivers at the north end of this field. Lucas Hoytsma and Bryson Hixenball. It's going to be a fight of a lifetime. Hoytsma looking to punch his ticket into those playoffs. Hixenball looking for his 4th win in 9 races. That'll be a stunning achievement for both these drivers. Got to keep tabs on the 87 of Eric Wineland, who's been very quick all throughout this season and all throughout this race. And Kirk Mills, who entered this race looking for a good points day, entered in 9th of the 12 cars in the playoffs, 43 above the cut line. But I think a win would not be something he would complain about one bit. It's going to be close out. I will also say that Eric Weiland and Kirk Mills also in the same Discord chat, so if those two end up coming up blows, man, what I would pay to be a fly on the wall in all of that. But this is still going to be a pressure cooker of a situation for these drivers. You can see them stacking up, gassing it up, trying to get those brakes, their tires, and everything warmed up, get the juices flowing, because talk about a sprint, this is going to be run at 100%. This is the 100-meter sprint. Right towards the end of this race, someone got abducted by a UFO briefly in the background. That's Hoytsma swapping lines rather quickly. That's going to be borderline as to whether or not he picks up a penalty, but he's still leading us over Bryson Hixenball, the number 63 machine. He's looking on the outside line, trying to get a move done. Will he be able to get it done, though, is the real question. The white flag got to be in the air for Hoytsma, but he gets a black flag and all of that. I thought that was too early, and it was. Lucas Hoytsma going to pick up a black flag. Hixenball going to try and get a move done to get that lead and get the win out there on the track. Hoytsma's going to cross the line. A big crash coming right to the line, up in the air. That's a big crash for multiple cars. Bryson Hixenball going to grab his 4th win of the season as a crash across the line behind him, and Hoytsma takes that checkered and black flag. That is going to sting.
If I had $1 for every time that I worked a full-length Cup Series race that ended in a big one over the line, I'd have $2. That isn't much. But it is weird that it's happened twice in 2 attempts. What a crazy finish. I've got to say, when it came to Hoytsma's move there, I've had races lost by forgetting on the final restart, just forgetting procedure. And, well, that's what happened to him. I get it and I understand it. It's got to be the most heartbreaking way to lose it on the green-white checker. There's no way.
That is possibly the most heartbreaking way to end a race, but If we're being honest, Hoytsma really did it to himself. That swapperoo of spots. He had a good restart. He probably would have been able to just clear him naturally, but he crossed over. It's deja vu to what happened to David Reagan in the 2011 Daytona 500, swapping sides right to the line on one of the latest restarts of that race, eventually giving the win to another Ford in the form of the Wood brothers and Trevor Bayne at the end of all of that. But it's going to be the 4th win this season for Ball, and you can see that crash coming right to the line. That was a big stack up. I thought we nearly had a flipper and all that as well.
I think there's too much there for me to like accurately catch and catalog the whole thing. Like that was just stunning. That was just like the fireworks we needed to end a day quite like this. It all started with the 87 and 69, and from there, let Stewart decide what happened. Yeah,
holy God, I thought that was a flip from the 68. I was thinking, okay, he's going to keep it on all fours. Nope, he flipped it. So we did have a flipper at the end of this race here at Bristol. It was clean. These drivers raced hard, and it was a brilliant race all throughout. But I mean, hey, talk about a spectacular way to end it all. The 68 involved in a pit of smoke. The 14 coming in. That's a big hit into the back of the 68. Gets the rear tires up off the air, and then in the process, again, stacked up against the wall. He ends up upside down. That is a huge hit for Noah Woods at the end of all this. But here are your results. As much as he crossed the line in second, it's Bryson Exenball grabbing his 4th win of this season in the 63 machine. Kirk Mills is going to be classed in P2, so it may not be the win that he was looking for, but it's still going to be a fantastic points day nonetheless for the driver of the number 69 car. Eric Wineland, another good points day for him, entered this race 1 below the cut line, will end it pretty high above it, finishing in P3. Noah Woods will be classed in 4th. Kyle Amon running out our top 5. Jordan Pearson will be classed in 6th. Mark Padgett in the 02 car will finish in P7. John Kelly is classed in 8th. Tanner Marty in 9th. Cody Bird running out your top 10 and running out the top half of this field. It's completed with Daniel Llewellyn, second tries of charm. I apologize, Daniel, in the 07 car, finishing in P11. Jim Shoefield in 12th. Dave Hoytsma, even after that end of the longest line penalty on that final restart, finishes in P13. Lucas Hoytsma finishing right behind in 14th, and Jeremy Clapper Newell running out your first half of the field.
Only a few more drivers at the back. Carlos Fonseca finishes 21st with Austin Avey in 22nd. Hunter Terrell finishes 23rd ahead of Cliff Mullins, Cameron Stone, Joseph McWhorter, Joe Rollins, Cody Goza, Brian Wertman, and Jason Taylor. I'm still there. You know, it's a participation trophy, I guess, I presume. We can talk to a few of these drivers about what just happened. Lots to talk about. Got a few in the I'm just gonna work out. I have Hickson Bar, our race winner, to get going with. I think I should leave you with Bryson.
Yeah, and let's have a chat with Bryson Hicksonball at the end of this race. Bryson, congratulations on the win. Your 4th of this season in just 9 races. Crossing the line in second, but after a penalty from the driver right in front of you, it is your 4th win. Happy to talk us through that race here at Bristol.
Yeah, I don't feel like I deserve this win. Lucas had that. He broke the rule, but the rule really didn't decide the win. He would have won either way unless I really decided to ship him and wreck him, and I wasn't going to wreck him for a win. But I feel like I made a lot of wrong moves tonight, and I don't know how I'm sitting here in victory lane.
Hey, it worked out for you at the end of all of this. An absolutely hectic race. Lots of topsy-turviness and only 5 sets of tires allotted to you racers as well. I want to ask you about that dynamic here in this race at Bristol. Having to worry about a limited set of tires definitely made it a bit more of a mental game than it probably would have been otherwise.
Yeah, I definitely limited sets of tires. This is fewer than we normally have for a race, and I feel like 20 laps on these tires and you really want a new set here at Bristol, but we couldn't do that tonight. I used up an extra set during stages 1 and 2, thinking it would get me the stage win, but I didn't even beat Lucas for that stage, and he didn't use that extra set of tires, so I was really, and in a bad spot for stage 3. Only had the one set in the pits, but managed to get the late caution to use it.
Yeah, go work out well for you at the end of it all. And at this point, your 4th win in 9 races. So I can imagine you are quite pleased with how the season has gone thus far. But looking through the rest of the regular season, any more goals or anything in mind trying to build up that points gap entering the playoffs to hit the ground running? Or are you just out there logging the laps and having some fun?
Yeah, I'm out there to have a lot of fun, see if we can get a few more wins. I might miss a race in the first round of the playoffs, so I'd like a buffer there to where that doesn't hurt me that much. But really out here to win all the races we can and to get ourselves set up for a good playoffs.
Well, there you go, man. Going out trophy hunting in that number 63 car and grabbing another one here at Bristol tonight. Bryson Hicksonball, thank you so much for joining us here in the commentary booth. But before we let you go and celebrate this win here at Bristol tonight, is there anybody you want to give a thanks to or shout out?
Yeah, shout out to Team Conti Sim Performance for all the setups every week. Nick Onger does a great job on the Xfinity setups. We've really put on a clegg this year with his setups, and I think it really proves that he's the best in the business.
There you go, man. Hey, thank you for joining us here in the commentary booth. Congratulations on the win here at Bristol tonight, and excited to be back out on the track for the rest of the season.
I gotta catch up with Kirk Mills, and not just because we know who he is, but because he's possibly had the biggest roller coaster of the race and comes home with a good result. Kirk Mills, from the front to the back to the front again. What a race!
Oh, you're telling me, man. I'm exhausted. That's the best I can tell you.
So you got that issue with the moving out of your lane at the start of the race. You flew laps down, stopping under green, and then you came all the way back. Was it pace? Was it strategy? Was it both?
First off, I gotta say that, racing at Bristol's always been a dream of mine. It's, in my opinion, the best track ever built. It's one of, I grew up 15 minutes away from here, mowed grass, trying to save enough money to be able to buy Xfinity Series tickets, which were $15 for the Boy Scouts if you live close. And we'd get to watch it on the backstretch when I was a kid. And it was awesome. And to be able to come on here and actually race against amazing talent like Bryson Hicksonball and Lucas Holtzma and all these guys that were really dang quick. I'm crying over here, man. I haven't felt so happy to be able to share a track with such talented drivers. I got to thank Dustin Hall for giving me the expertise to be able to work and build on my own setups. And for the last 2 weeks, I've been working on this particular one. And for the first time ever, I felt like I had a hot rod under my seat. I normally don't have it against these guys, but today I sure did. And lap 112, whenever that caution came out, I was saying it was the best race of my life. I had more fun in that race than I've ever had in any race in my life. And then that penalty came out, and I turned redder than I could ever have been in my life. I was screaming, yelling, ain't happy. But the first words came out of my mouth is, I'm coming back. And I knew I was going to. I just knew how to try everything I could. And went out there, got the lucky dog after staying out, got a lucky break on the cautions. Ended up getting into the top 2, tried to take 2 tires there at the end, and it just didn't work out. I went out there and I tried to get the back bumper Holtzman to get him loose and knock him up in the wall. It didn't really work too well. And, this close. I have never felt more disappointed and happy in the same moment. Also feared with anger. But no matter what, Dustin Hall, I gotta thank him so much. And that one car, you'll see him tomorrow on the full length Cup Challenge when I'll be commentating up here in the booth, watching this lovely race. Oh man, it was just it was a hard one today.
Well, it was spectacular. It was a ton of fun, and you should be incredibly proud of what you pulled off. If you're talking about a talent on that field, that was fast and that was brilliant. Any other shout-outs or thank yous before we let you free?
I am so dang happy that Maconi is now going to be our broadcaster for the Xfinity Series here. Maconi is the best that you can get in terms of entertainment. I know I work for him, so that might seem like a little plug there, but trust me, it's a great company, and they seem to have a lot of fun, and I love commentating the races just like you guys do. I know you do. And I hope it was entertaining. Thanks to my wife, Tegan. I can't believe how much so much so under cool out on lap, she scared me, and I spun out almost in front of Hicksonball. Wasn't too good. But man, I had so much fun. Thanks my family, everybody who watches and supports me, my teammates at my job. I know they watch. And I'm sorry I couldn't get one spot better. And my God, I'm racing against aliens here with Rice and Hicksonball winning this race. So no chance at all.
Well, we look forward to seeing and hearing more of you, all whether it's on or off the track in the future. We'll let you join the motor coach while I leave Ron with our third place finisher.
Thanks, guys.
I shouldn't have cut him off like that. That was just harsh. Eric Winehouse.
Yeah.
Leave with you.
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
there.
Let's go.
There we go. He's back here in the commentary booth. Eric Wineland, welcome into the commentary booth. And how do you talk us through that roller coaster ride of a race from you? You were involved in a hornet's nest, pretty much from the drop of the green flag all the way through to the fall of the checkered.
Yeah, Ron, I enjoyed that one. Bristol's always been a fun track that I've enjoyed because the tire saving invites you running the bottom instead of the top, and managing your stuff gets to be a lot of fun when you got people on different skill levels, different pace. Varying levels of skill too, but I'm very proud to be a part of this league here at the Full Length Challenge on the Friday Night Lights Xfinity Series. These guys do a great job of racing hard, racing clean. I had one mistake I made with Hunter Truell there early on, and apologize for it, but yeah, Ron, had to work hard for that one. We got on the wrong side of the strategy, unfortunately. Once Lucas took the lead there in the final stage, and then Kirk came flying by too after he got his lucky dog. I knew I was not in a good place. We needed just luck did not fall our way.
Well, I gotta say, though, overall, pretty good point stake for you at the end of all this. Entered this race one below the cut line in P13 in those playoff standings. Gotta leave this race with a P3 result. I'm not sure exactly how that'll work out for you points-wise, but still a rather productive day here at Bristol. So probably a bit more confidence heading through the rest of this regular season.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We've been on a not very good stretch, so... had a shocking Las Vegas got taken out late in the race there. Or actually not late in the race, about halfway through the race. And then Homestead had a hardware issue and ended up starting the race 8 laps down, wrecked out, and had to miss Darlington last week for a personal reason. So finally good to get things right again, Ron, here. Kind of a get right race for me, and we definitely did that tonight. And I'm looking forward to the next set of tracks here: Rockingham, Talladega, Texas, and Charlotte, and even throw Nashville in there too, all the way down into end of May. All 5 of those I like. Maybe Texas being at the bottom of the list, but I'm looking forward to the next set of races, the Dash for Cash ones here in the Xfinity Series, to get after it and see what we can do.
And on the subject of points and everything, just so you're now 23 above the cut line. So pretty productive day here at Bristol, and just a good race from you, period, here as well. And Eric, thank you so much for joining us here in the commentary booth. But before we let you go and celebrate this P3 result at the end of it here at Bristol, is there anybody you want to give a thanks to or shout out?
Yeah, thanks Kirk for letting me hang out with him. It was fun to hear the reactions. Thank you to my buddies Huffy and Gene Pool Lifeguard who've been hanging out with me over on the on board broadcast on my end. And then, of course, you guys here at Maconi Entertainment for picking up the broadcasts for the Friday Night Lights Xfinity Series. I think that's pretty cool. Definitely happy to have you guys on board. Can't thank the guys that put this on enough as well. I know Bryson does a lot here. Bobby Anderson, Jason Taylor, and a couple others that help make this thing go. And the biggest shout out to my buddy Santi Tires, who gave me some last minute adjustments while I was in practice here, and they absolutely lit me up on long run pace, and definitely made a difference tonight for me. I can't thank him enough for helping point me in the right direction. We're looking forward to getting further away from that cut line, keep going up.
Yes, have that cut line in your rear view mirror and just have it get smaller and smaller with every passing race is certainly going to be the goal. But Eric, thank you for joining us here in the commentary booth. Nice to get your insight at the end of this race here at Bristol, and excited to see you back out on the racetrack for the rest of the season, man. Thank you for joining us, and congratulations on the podium.
Yeah, thank you, Ron.
And that right there was Eric Wineland, your P3 finisher at the end of this race here at Bristol. Howie, a Bristol race that saw just about everything from fantastic strategy to some brilliant racing action and even a flipper at the end of it. Final thoughts before we wrap things up.
Sometimes it's worth staying up till 4 a.m. when the racing is actually that good. I mean, I came into this not really getting Bristol, and I've come out loving Bristol to pieces, and a lot of that is just thanks to the fantastic drivers we've had here today. That race had it all.
That it certainly did. It had some brilliant racing action. Also had a lot of people in the YouTube chat cheering us on and cheering on their favorite drivers as well. To all of you tuning into this broadcast on Maconi Entertainment, the first ever presentation of the full-length Cup Challenge Friday Night Lights Xfinity Series here on Maconi Entertainment. If you enjoyed the racing action, maybe hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. But as for this broadcast, for this Friday Night Lights race here at Bristol, I think that will just about do it. And so for myself, Ron Mullins, and Howie Burrows pulling double duty, working the comms and the cams with me on today's broadcast, I say thank you all so very much for watching this evening's coverage of the Friday Night Lights series here on Maconi Entertainment tonight, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.